He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Greetings, citizens of Gotham, and welcome to Bat Minute and Robin, the show that shall rule over you. For 3 days a week, anyway. That's a pretty good chunk of the week to rule.
Oh, yeah. That's nearly half of it.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, it's not fair to rule 7 days of the week. You've got to share the load, Mr. Frodo. I am one of your hosts, John Parker, and also a hobbit.
And talking about Batman and Robin, just what I had in mind. It's me, Niall McGowan.
I mean, I say that all the time because it is what I had in mind, because I talk about this movie far more than 90% of the populace.
90?
There's a good 10% of the population that's going around constantly talking.
Wow. It's just Germany.
Yeah, you know, Germany is very, very into this film. But these voices you can hear, people, are our wonderful guests. We are joined once again by, well, first up, Alyson Grimm.
I
think that's how society in general feels, to be honest. You've summed it up.
Yeah, but have you ever had a hurricane? I stood there in my kitchen and watched my friend Josh pour like most of a handle of Captain Morgan into a pitcher and then like most of a handle of White Rum.
Oh. Now, I like both of those individually and in, you know.
They're great.
I'll have 5 or 6 of them. I'm not having all that.
With a bunch of other stuff, so they tasted real good. Amazing.
Well, we are joined by, hopefully, the less disheveled, Jarf Harden.
And you better say nice things about this podcast or I will shoot you with my frozen tears.
Yes! That is a threat. If you don't give us a review on, I was going to say iTunes again, on Apple Podcasts, Jarf is coming for you. and when I say a review, it's got to be 5 stars.
You have to stand at the front door getting emotional, like, wait a minute. Okay, I'm thinking about it.
Hang on.
Just carry an onion on your belt. But we are here to talk about minute 83. And the minute starts with the finishing of a breakdown, and it ends with the looming end of everything.
That was a phrase I love in movies. I was actually trying to track if I could get the first ever instance of it. Of someone saying, like, you know, first Gotham, then the world. Because it's such a super villainy thing to say. But to try to Google that, it's like if you type in, like, first ... then the world, it does not bring up anything that's vaguely related to what I was looking for.
No, I can imagine.
Not even on, like, TV tropes or anything?
No, I couldn't find anything. It was, I don't know what I would be looking under. Just literally type then the world. Would that be it? Or...
It's a mystery to all. Listeners, if you know how to look this up, please get in touch. It'll be useful information for Niall, at least. It'll let him sleep at night. He hasn't slept for weeks.
So I just looked it up. No, I'm sorry. It's from a Nazi song.
No, it's not, is it?
It's from a song called Es zittern die Mörchen knochen, The Decayed Bones Tremble by Hans Baumann.
Oh, I'll tell you what, that's a cool name, though.
He wrote it in 1932 when he was still a member of the Catholic youth organization New Deutschland. The following year, he became a member of the Nazi Party, and the song was sung by the Hitler Youth and other party organizations. And in 1935, it became the official song of the German Labor Front, the Nazi trade union surrogate.
Oh, that is unfortunate to hear.
Completely ruined this phrase for you. Wow.
That's why evil characters always say it then.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. That's a fun fact. And that's not fun.
Yeah, I think you need to look up the definition of fun fact again.
They see it in the VeggieTales movie.
This is also part of a disturbing trend for me because the first time I was on this podcast was for Batman It Returns. And it was the Penguin talking about the Reichstag fire.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You're our Nazi.
No,
No.
no.
I guess.
Of course, the unfortunate thing is also Arnold Schwarzenegger's father was a serving officer in the SS.
Oh no,
So,
I didn't know that.
No,
Yeah.
but again, we've brought this up. Let's make it clear. I don't think he held certain views. I think it was just kind of like, well, that's just what you do.
it was the thing. I think he was a police officer.
Yeah.
But he wasn't doing particularly well in his career, and then obviously given like you can join the Nazis, and well, the places you'll go, that kind of
Yeah,
Oh
it probably was
God.
sold to you as a very positive thing. A bit like joining the American military is sold as a very positive thing to 18-year-olds.
yeah. Although they would work it in then into like that recent White Knight comic series that they brought out. Was it Greg Capullo did it? I think so. And they have Mr. Freeze in it. That's like, oh yeah, his father is a Nazi in it too. And like, is that a reference to like Arnold Schwarzenegger being like his own? Because they bring in McGregor syndrome and stuff into it too. So you're like,
whoa!
is this like a kind of weird cross-textual reference to Schwarzenegger?
From what I remember from Arnold's autobiography, though, he's very much the opposite.
Oh God!
Oh,
I know he might technically be a Republican. But,
Not anymore, Bernie.
Oh yeah, he's disassociated, isn't he?
Yeah.
But two things we'll say about the opening shot here, though, is that one, in the background there, we get seeing the freezing engine, and I like that they've added in the red diamond from the flower ball. You can see it there. Because it was just like one of those things of like, oh yeah, there's a big red diamond that we had to put in with all his like normal clear colored diamonds. I was like, well, do we ever see it again? There it is, right in the background. So, two, that little snow globe thing. I remember, was it a week or two ago? I was talking about a podcast I was listening to with a guy who was part of the toy department for Batman and Robin, and worked on Star Wars toys and stuff like this. Worked for Kenner and stuff for many years. And he was the guy who was saying, like, we were brought in. We needed to get these things underway so quickly. And the production schedule was so tight that we were sitting, waiting for the art department to be hired so we could make toys designed on what they were coming up with, but they just weren't there. And he said that snow globe was like, I designed that snow globe because they didn't have an art department. And I was just sitting there, so I was like, I'll do something for you. It's just like, there you go, there's a snow globe for you. There you go, that's, I'm getting paid anyway, so what do I care?
Yeah.
And then he friggin' crushes it.
Yeah.
Rude.
Which, when we get to, is awesome.
There was a weird subtle thing going on with that snow globe that was just like, oh yeah, they don't really announce it that much in the movie. But like, it is very definitely there. But I would have thought it would have been a thing that would have really drawn attention to, but they don't really. But
No.
because you see now, he's holding it, it's just a normal snow globe. But as the minute goes on, one of the effects have been held by Mr. Freeze comes into play.
It freezes up. Yeah. We'll delve into it. But at the beginning, he finishes his little breakdown. He reveals it's first Gotham, then the world, as we've said. And Ivy she's pretty happy. She's pretty happy here. She's got what she wanted. But my first thought was, does it really serve her agenda based upon what we know thus far? But then it ties into what you brought up, Jarf, last minute. The answer is yes, apparently. Because here Ivy reveals what seems to us to be a new scheme. Kill every single thing on the planet and start over. She doesn't just want rid of mankind now, which was her original plan. Like, oh, screw humans. Now it's got like nuke this place from orbit. Just to be sure, she's post-punk. Rip it up and start again.
Yeah, it sounds so cool the way that you talk about it. It almost wins me over to the idea too. The issue that I had is not that she had the plan, but that she tells Freeze that it's just what she had in mind.
Yeah.
Because
You think that would tip him off?
Right, she's manipulating him into going over the edge like this, and then as soon as he's sold, she's like, yes, that's just what I had in mind. She should be saying, oh, that's a great idea. Yes, let's do that.
Make him think it's his idea. And then that's a play on her using her femininity to control him. Like, oh, you're such a strong, powerful, amazing, clever man.
No, I like how she does it. That's some strong misandrist energy. Like, yes, you puny man.
I do. I do enjoy that in a different way.
I like the idea of her just been like, oh, you know what we could do? Oh, no, you'd never go for it. It's crazy. No, what is it? Like, I mean, we could freeze the wood. No, I'm not for it. What is it? Like, oh, maybe we killed the world, and then these mutant plants that I've just made, maybe we could populate the world with them. I don't know. Maybe that's
Right.
just thought.
Not only is that brilliant, but let's talk about this. The mutant plants.
Oh, God, yeah.
Where did these come from all of a sudden? She somehow, out of nowhere, just created little Audrey 2s to rule the planet.
Well, that's one thing we should probably address up front. This is part of a grand, still ongoing thing with Batman and Little Shop of Horrors that's going on. Of course, go way back to '89, where people might recall. Of course, Roger Corman directed Little Shop of Horrors in 1960. Has a brief cameo in it by Jack Nicholson, of course, the Joker, and he's a guy who goes into the dentist, and he's like a sadist, basically. He just really enjoys having people inflict pain on his teeth, and he's just going in just to be like, "Yep, I just want you to to mutilate my mouth."
I always just think of the Bill Murray version there.
Well, that's the thing. Then, so years later, Bill Murray comes in, and Steve Martin's the dentist in that role. And the tools he has beside him, all these horrible looking like bone saws and really vicious looking dentist tools, are the same tools used by the plastic surgeon in Batman '89 when he's the guy, when he's operating on the Joker and doing like, "Oh, the nerve was completely severed, Mr. Napier," and he laughs in the mirror and smashes it over the thing and stuff. So that was a little dovetail reference by Tim Burton to be like, it's tying back via two forms of the text to Jack Nicholson being in Little Shop of Horrors. Of course, then it kind of goes on because next time, I think the last time we ever saw, up until friggin' next year with the Flash Batman movie, where it's just like, get out of the way, Ezra Miller, no one cares about you. But we're here to see Michael Keaton.
I put a meme about that in the group where it's The Simpsons with the dogs.
Yeah, someone get that Flash out of the way. Yeah. But the last time we saw the Tim Burton Batmobile was in a sequence of Looney Tunes Back in Action, wherein Roger Corman was directing a Batman movie. And we got to see that old Batmobile out in the Warner lot again. And of course, then Looney Tunes Back in Action was the last Looney Tunes movie up until this year, where we had Space Jam came out.
Oh.
And in the background, throughout the entire finale of Space Jam, behind Don Cheadle, there's a guy dressed up as Mr. Freeze in the outfit he's in these minutes. That dressing gown. I'm assuming it's the same prop they just had to hand. And that guy he's the star of the finale, the Mr. Freeze actor. Because he's so expressive and he's so excited that he gets to be Mr. Freeze in the sequence. And so the only thing I can recommend about Space Jam 2 is just the end where you get to see like, oh, Danny DeVito Penguin's there. Nicholson Joker's there. I forgot, I don't know, the Riddler and Two-Face could be there. I didn't spot them myself, but that's not to say that they're not there. And yeah, definitely Mr. Freeze is highly visible in the last act.
Is that the scene where there's like every property that they own and like the nuns there?
Yeah, during the match where it's just like, and this Don Cheadle is obviously the rival, the bad guy of the movie, and like just directly behind him is Mr. Freeze, and it's like every time I was so happy to see him because that guy was so happy to be on screen. It was great. Of course, then even beyond that too, we got the Harley Quinn TV show features Poison Ivy, and she has a pet plant voiced by J.B. Smoove, Leon from Curb Your Enthusiasm, called Frank, and it's blatantly Audrey 2 from Little Shop of Horrors. Named Frank, in reference to Frank Oz, who directed the remake of Little Shop of Horrors. It's a whole big, everything connected tangle of vines, this references to that movie. So, there you go. It was all connected back there in a bunch of different ways.
Hell yes. Everything is now. We've discovered this.
Of course, even thinking about that too, we're going to have next movie. I think we might be covering the next Batman movie, might be Mask of the Phantasm. Dick Miller is in that movie, and he's in Little Shop of Horrors as well. So it was one of those movies, the classic Corman move of he only made that movie because he had the set for Bucket of Blood just still set up. And it's like,
let's just use it.
It's like, yeah, they're tearing it down in 2 days. We can make a movie in 2 days.
I can make a movie in 2 days.
Easy.
And Bucket of Blood is a great movie where Dick Miller he's a guy who accidentally kills his landlord's cat, and then covers it in clay. And everyone thinks he's like this genius sculptor because he blacks it as a sculptor he's made. And Dick Miller's the star of that. And I was like, hey, Dick, we're shooting another movie this weekend. You want to come in? Like, yeah, sure. Why not?
I've got nothing happening this weekend. Okay, fine. I like that.
Yeah.
But sticking with the Little Shop of Horrors thing, right? The plant. Okay, so she's decided that these things are going to dominate the planet. Yet
Right.
her and Freeze will rule them. Which to me, I'm just sitting here thinking, oh yeah, that's going to end well. That won't backfire on you at all. Let the proletarian plant rise up and break their roots. Screw these humans. Why do plants need humans? It's a very human-centric argument from Ivy.
Humanity, yeah.
Yeah, you'd think she'd be very pro-plant, but she seems to be like, no, well, these plants are stupid. They need me, a human.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, her whole plan, nothing about it would sound appealing to anybody. I don't think.
No. And her whole thing is like, well, people are naturally rulers, right? Not plants.
Yeah.
Which is against her whole character.
Well, I do wonder if that little... I have to say, too, that puppet is terrible. Like, it's...
Oh, yeah. It's real bad.
I don't know if that's a reference to, like, they made it deliberately bad to be like a Roger Corman-y kind of like, oh, it's a little cheap, crappy puppet. Like, we weren't going for a good puppet, but if you watch that friggin' 86 version of Little Shop of Horrors, the Audrey 2 puppet's phenomenal. Like, it's one of the best puppets I've ever seen. So then to go from that to, like, this, it's like, oh, yeah, that's pretty shoddy, man.
Well,
I'm
no,
shocked.
you've never...
Y'all don't like the puppet? I love that puppet.
I love the idea of the puppet. I don't know. It's an unnatural thing, right? So you could argue, well, you've never seen a living plant monster. What does it look and move like? Like a puppet.
Like a herky-jerky Little Shop of Horrors puppet.
Yeah.
I just kind of get the vibe that Uma Thurman, there's like a little string at the bottom that makes it move, and she's just got her hand going like, that's the one bit of motion I can give it, is to move its mouth a little bit and maybe shake its head from side to side ever so slightly. But it distracts. It really takes me out of the minute because it's just like, oh man, that is poor work. But it could be deliberately designed to be poor work. So that might be the thing.
That's the bad thing that takes you out of the movie.
Right.
Specifically that.
Oh, just this minute. There's many other things that take me out of it.
Okay.
But because her whole plan originally was she was designing plants that could fight back against humans. And she seems now like she has created that thing. But she's also planning for all of humankind to be dead. So then it's like, well, why would the plants need to fight back against anybody then? Like, why have you've just, it's almost now, it's like you've just created them for the sake of creating them. To be like, I've made a monster. Hooray. Like,
Yay.
The only purpose it would have served was to protect the ecosystem from man, but man's already dead in this scenario. So, what? Like, what? Plus, on top of that, she's like, and then, and we will rule them. And I don't know if this plant is it can't be supposed to be the thing that ends up taking Poison Ivy out at the end, when she gets eaten by her own plant and can't wait
Spoilers.
to get...
Yeah, spoilers. What are you doing? People haven't watched this movie now.
Can't wait to get to that minute to work out what the hell is going on there. But like,
Somebody's listening to this podcast and watching the movie minute by minute.
It wouldn't surprise me. I've heard of people doing it.
Oh yeah, I think there was a guy who listened to The Godfather minute and he didn't even watch the movie. He was just listening to them describing the movie. Like he was like, I've never seen it.
I've done that.
Really?
Yeah, I listened to...
Oh yeah, I've listened to podcasts for movies I haven't seen.
Yeah. I mean, I listened to Fright Night Minute. I've never seen Fright Night.
No.
Really?
Never
How have
watched
you
it.
never seen Fright Night?
I'd never heard of it till there was a podcast.
Oh wow.
What? Oh, you love it.
That VHS cover was just a classic of the shops back in the day. It was just every video store. It was like Fright Night calling to you from across the room.
We all have one random thing we missed. Maybe that's mine.
I did that with Crossroads Minute, the Britney Spears movie.
Somebody did a minute by minute of
Yeah,
that?
James and Aaron from the Scavengers
Yeah.
Network. Yeah.
Oh.
And at first I thought like, I'll listen to a week or so and then I'll start following along with the movie. But they were recounting it, so I'm like, this is enough. They're telling me the story.
Plus, I often listen to like How Did This Get Made episodes about movies I've not seen. I never watched the movie that they're doing. Like, if I've seen it already, cool. If not, doesn't matter. Let's go.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I think like one episode, but the whole season of a show was like, that's dedication to like not been in the dark about like, well, I'm just going to hope that these guys describe this movie well enough for me.
If they describe it well and they're fun, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It's like listening to baseball on the radio or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like over here, of course, our equivalent would be our football. But it's a very visual thing, you would think.
Yeah.
But people do listen to it when they're out driving and stuff.
but within that, Ivy says like, oh, and we will rule them. And I kind of like the idea of this was the same plant that gets her at the end, where it's like, rule us? What the hell are you talking about, lady? I ain't here to be ruled by nobody. And then she follows it up with, for we will be the only two people left alive, which is a very Return of the Jedi moment because Bane's just there. Like, he's just like,
Not about Bane.
He should pick her up and throw her, yeah.
yeah,
No!
so, well, are you going to kill me? Like, do I not count as a person? As she's saying, like, oh no, Bane, you're like subhuman to me. Like,
Well,
you don't count as a person?
Well, he's a cook. Surely he likes being put down like that. Like, well, yeah, you're not human. You're just a piece of crap. That I
It could
walk
be,
over.
yeah. She's just like, that's right. Bane's currently underneath her heel.
Yeah,
She's just like stepping on his chest right now. He's like, that's right. Tell me more about how I'm going to die in your new world order. But yeah, if someone came, particularly a woman I had just met and who came on to me very hard, I would be very, very troubled if she was just like, we're going to be the only two people left alive. I would be, no matter how angry I was, I'd be like, whoa.
Yeah, that's a leap.
Yeah. He's like, I'm happy to go around freezing people for, kicks, but like, the only two people left alive? Like,
You get bored. Like, there's no more people to freeze. You got to keep it interesting. You got to keep people around.
Yeah, freezing plants isn't fun. And she won't let you.
what they plan? She just planned to have some sort of hedonistic paradise afterwards, where it's just like, but things then would they repopulate? Because then it's like, well, can Mr. Freeze reproduce?
This
now?
didn't work.
I assume he can't because he can't even cry properly.
I guess that was it. Momentarily was a liquid tear on his cheek. So maybe if he got the sample out like quickly.
Yeah, I don't think he can. How do I put this PG? I don't think he can inject what he needs to firsthand.
He wouldn't even be able to get it out because he would need the friction, unless it went and then removed it surgically.
It's
or
an
something.
icicle.
Yeah.
Is it like the sperm just also frozen?
Yeah,
don't
it just
know.
comes out as a giant like dagger of ice.
And then how does Ivy? Because she's her. Is she just like pollinated? Would like a bee come along and like pick up his ice sperm and drop it on top of her or something? And
There's
she's
a
just
lot
like,
to ask about here. Yeah, but they seem to think it can work because his response, to me, it seems to suggest procreation because he's on board with it. He goes, "Yes, Adam and evil,"
Yeah.
which is the dumbest and best line in the movie.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, those are wrestler names right there.
Adam and
Oh,
evil.
God.
Hey, and there's a lot of intergender wrestling on the indie scene right now, so we can do it.
Yeah. It was. I was so shocked to find out though, because it almost sounds like a Roger Corman title, like Bucket of Blood, Adam and Evil. Like there's bound to be something like that. Looked into it. There's a recent movie called Adam and Evil from 2004 that's just like a generic slasher thing.
Now, let me just say, right, that's not that recent anymore. We're old people.
Yeah, very recent. The year I graduated high school.
I know what you mean, though. It's recent in the way we view movies.
Yeah.
There's also a not so recent movie from 1927, which was gets us nearly 100 years old now, but with Hedda Hopper called Adam and Evil, which apparently, like, I was very intrigued to find out about this because I'd never heard of it before. And then what was the very succinct summary of it was the little fur-bearing animals that are sacrificed for the vanity of women desiring fur coats have a posthumous revenge. And that's it. That's the premise of the movie. It's like,
That's amazing.
yeah, so it's like, I don't know if it's like fur coats killing people.
Like minks?
I guess, yeah. They come into life and like strangling, and it's a silent movie too. So it's like, I gotta track this thing down to see what the hell it is.
That sounds amazing.
Great.
Yeah. And of course, there apparently is an Elvis Presley song called Adam and Evil, which it kind of ties into what's happening in this scene, but it's also like crazy misogynist, basically.
Repopulating the earth to rule over plants? That's a very specific.
We're gonna be Adam and Evil, but we will be the only two people alive. No, it's like some of the lyrics are like now Adam and Evil, they go hand in hand. Eve taught Adam how to sin, and that's the way it all began. I was like, that's a very condemning version of events. And then I'm lonely like Adam, you're evil like Eve. I shouldn't take forbidden fruit because I believe.
Evil like Eve. Let me just say, Eve was not evil. That's very sexist.
Well, welcome to Christianity.
It's like if anyone knows Carrie, they'll just remember Sissy Spacek shouting, "And Eve was weak. Eve was weak." But so that's as I recall, she was weak from Sissy Spacek roaring at my face for like 5 minutes of the movie.
You learnt more from that than you did from your life growing up in Ireland.
But yeah, so I think it's just like it's an old school misogynistic kind of song. But this whole kind of thing though is because Ivy does have she has snake qualities throughout the whole movie, we've noted. And the idea of Adam and Evil and her being only the two of them left, she is both Eve and a snake in a weird way. And the temptation, I guess, is like the forbidden fruit of genocide, I suppose, where she's like, hey, why didn't you? And he's holding a little globe, kind of like an apple in a weird way. So, I don't know, maybe that's what they're going for.
No one has ever given this level of thought to this movie.
I was going to say, are you trying to do...
Ghostwalker did not give this level of thought.
Are you trying to do and it's all connected between Batman and Robin and the Bible?
Hey, they're one and the same.
Hey, well, we all know that Christian Bale played Jesus in our Mary Mother of Jesus
Name
movie.
is Christian.
Christian, yeah.
Yeah. Adam, or we call him Val Kilmer, played Moses. So I think that there is a thing where like George Clooney is like the only Batman. No, he can't be the only Batman that did not have played Jesus.
Well, hang on a minute, Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton definitely, unless he did. You never find out. I was like, oh yeah, I was Jesus. That was back in the day.
I mean, he is Jesus, literally. But you know,
I thought that was Adam West.
Has Adam West played Jesus?
Man, he could have back in the day. You never know.
Yeah.
Like, I was in a nativity play back in 1929.
Oh, if we're going to include that, oh my God, yeah, okay, maybe they've all done it.
Yeah. I mean, we did have a whole thing where it turned out that George Clooney was technically the first of any of the actors to play Batman because he dressed up as him as a kid in 1963, 3 years before Adam West donned the cowl. So Clooney's got that on him. Like he's like,
He's
I was
the
there
OG.
first, buddy.
Yeah. Original.
I also like a vision of this though, where it's like, oh, Adam and Evil, and she was like, I was thinking more like Icy and Ivy, but yeah, sure, Adam and Evil, it works.
She's acknowledging she's evil then by rolling with this.
That's the weird thing. Yeah, for the two villains who have like really understandable motives and like decent enough backstories, both of them in this movie have been like, remember at the start he was like, grab the gem, kill the heroes, framing himself as the bad guy in that scenario. And he's like, oh, Adam and Evil. And she's like, yes. Like, I know I'm bad. Like, this is evil, what I'm planning to do. Yeah. It's great, right? Whereas you think she might be a bit more like, excuse me, I'm trying to protect the ecosystem, buddy. Like, everyone else is the problem, not me.
Yeah. And in the draft, I mean, this is a long bit, but there's loads in the draft that's not in this actual finished product. And there's a little bit where she's actually even more, I would say, anti-plant. Because she lifts a flower and says, plants and flowers are the oldest species on the planet, yet they are defenseless against man. And then she turns to the plant. Sorry, hun, this is for science. Crushes it to death.
What?
And she says, behold the dawn of the new age, and brings out her new weird hybrid thing. So she actually actively destroys one of her plants there to prove a point.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
That should be the setup for later on, like why the plants would turn against her. Because,
yeah,
you just make it more like, oh, she says she's all about the flowers and whatnot, but she's actually all about herself. Maybe that would be the idea, and she declaring herself Mother Nature and all this business. I do love that shot where she's just like, and then both fingers. They seem to be like they're pointing at her, but it's more like she's like trying to highlight her hair. Like no one's commented on my new hairdo,
And it is awesome.
Oh,
I
it's
spent
fantastic.
a lot of money on this.
The only other time I've seen hair like that, I think, Scary Spice from the Spice Girls used to do those.
It sort of looks like Naja and What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh yeah. Apparently, this is actually specifically based on Bjork.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
She used to have like the little hair buns back in the 90s.
Yeah.
Joel Schumacher was saying they brought in Uma to help out in her makeup and costuming and stuff. And apparently she arrived in and they had done very like old school glamour, like real 1940s kind of stuff. And she's like, I want it to like pop and be more contemporary. So she was like, Bjork, I like this thing Bjork does with her hair. And they came up with this. So
okay. I like it. I could totally see Bjork doing it, because what hasn't Bjork done?
yeah.
And
Why-
Bjork could be
I
a good
think Bjork-
Ivy, because she's very much
I
about
was just going to say
nature.
Bjork could have played Poison Ivy.
I was thinking that too. Instead of vampy and drag queen, the way that Uma plays it, just like spooky and weird and quirky. It would be amazing.
And she's very much about nature. Like a lot of her more recent albums, they're barely even songs. They're like, let's try and recreate the sound of the natural world. And it's like, oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah, she'll just take like a sunflower and like tap it against the microphone. For
Yeah.
4 minutes.
And that'll be the entire like purpose of the song. It's like, I want to embody the sunflower. Yeah,
I think there could be another world where Bjork was like given the choice of like, you can be in Lars von Trier's Palme d'Or winning Dancer in the Dark and have one of those acclaimed acting performances of the 90s, or you can be Poison Ivy. And she was like, Poison Ivy, I'm going for it.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
But I even love too, you notice that her hair is becoming more and more vibrant as it goes on. This is a thing they wanted to comment on her progression. So you notice the leaf things over her eyes, they've gone because they were supposed to turn golden like the autumn and fall off.
Oh, but that would have been nice to see that.
Yeah, there's a thing you would put in now where it's like you'd actively show her transforming and stuff. And yeah, the things in her heads are also supposed to be like buds coming out. And they can see now there's more color getting added in because there's a little pink swirl going through them instead of just plain red. Also, it looks a bit like Madonna's cone bra. Like she just put that in her head or something as
A
well.
little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm a fan.
I also like the idea because it is a bit swirly. It's like, it's a bit like an ice cream. I'm trying to appeal to this Mr. Freeze guy. And then look at my hair. I'm pointing at it.
She's like sprays it white. Like, you into that? There's loads more in the draft as well that I quite enjoyed. There's a whole extra section where Ivy says she's talking about Batman and Robin and stuff, and she says, "Can't we just ice them along with the rest of the citizenry?" And Freeze is like, "That is far too merciful. Batman will watch his beloved Gotham perish. Then I will kill him."
Ooh, I like that.
But then Ivy's like, as a team, the Dunsley duo protect each other. But the Robin is young, impetuous. If I could get him alone. Freeze says, "One kiss and you could lift the mask from his lifeless face. Their secret identities would be revealed. But how best to bait a bird?" These are all lines like you've written now.
I was sitting there going like, Dunsley duo. Work that into an outro somewhere.
And Ivy's right as well. She goes, "The way to a boy's heart is through his ego. What strapping young hero could resist his very own signal?" They create a Robin signal. Is it inspired, Miss Ivy? And then she randomly says, "I'm hungry. I think I'll have poultry." Which is meant to be eating Robin.
Yeah.
Oh.
Although again, you could go for the pun there of been like, "I'm in a foul mood," or something like that. Yeah.
It's a lot more full on with her sort of predation of young Robin. So that's the end of that bit from the draft. Has anyone got any other notes for this particular minute?
The only thing is that I had another comparison with the hair business. It reminded me also a bit of Gary Oldman's Dracula.
A
which,
little
you know,
bit, yeah.
Yeah, of course, Gary Oldman married to Uma Thurman, so there you go.
I forgot all about that. What the hell?
Yeah, they were like a hot and heavy in the 90s, and never to be again.
Oh,
My favorite thing about this movie is that somebody clearly told Uma Thurman, "You can't outact Arnold Schwarzenegger as a Batman villain," and she's like, "Hold my beer." He's definitely doing the most acting.
yeah, that's actually a really good point. Like Arnold's hamming it up, but Uma is like, I'm just gonna go 1,000%.
It's like a goblin chewing on the curtains, you know?
It is weird though that like we had a whole thing last movie where it's like, why is Tommy Lee Jones doing this? He's just trying to outdo Jim Carrey, and it was kind of a disaster for like, because it was like, well, it's not the worst thing in the world, but like you should have gone a different way with this. But now it is like two actors kind of trying to out-ham each other.
Yeah.
But I think that's supposed to, maybe I'll put that wrong. Maybe it's because Tommy Lee Jones was trying in competition with Jim Carrey and it came across badly. Whereas these two are just, they're both like, yep, you do your thing, I'm doing my thing. And it works great. Like they're not in competition. It's more like, I'm going to vamp it up. You can Arnie it up. It's great. It works. You know, they have great chemistry together. Just due to that. They're not trying to outdo each other. So, Uma is fantastic, the whole movie, but in these minutes in particular, like the look she gives when she's doing like just what I had in mind, because she's not even trying to hide it. Like I think I made a meme during the week of just that, her face, and it was just like when you come over for Destroy Gotham and Chill, and she gives you this look, and it's just her doing that.
Hell yeah.
And also reminded me of an old meme I made many months ago as a picture of the two of them together, and Arnie's just very straight faced and she's smiling away. And it was just that thing of her going like, "Oh, we look like a couple here," and him being like, "A couple of besties." Like,
Okay, so we'll head off now into the dark, dark night. Jarf, would you like to remind people one more time where you can be found online? Because it's your last minute with us, isn't it?
Well, thanks for having me. These last 2 days, it's been a lot of fun, and you can check out my previous podcast, Joe versus the Minute. That was covering Joe versus the Volcano, and upcoming project is Dazed and Confused 33 and a third, and did have the chance to record with Alyson here, and that was a blast. So, good. Yeah, thank you. That's so you can check that in the future.
Excellent.
I do like the idea of Frank Drebin's Dazed and Confused.
Well, make sure you check it out, everybody. And Alyson, we will get your plugs on the Friday episode, because we don't normally do it on the Wednesday one, but with Jarf only able to stay for 2, you know, we're gonna give him priority just this once. You're more important though. So do join us again on Friday, listeners, for more Bat Minute and Robin.
Next time, holy bedridden butler, Batman. Babs and Dick are delivered a dismal diagnosis while Wayne in the wings ponders the pessimistic prognosis. The threat of death looms large over the whole household, but will it distract from the duties of the brave and the bold?
We'll be back.